What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Mark Ronan. And today we're gonna be going over 7 things that I wish I knew about cars when I was younger. I feel like a lot of the people on my YouTube channel are young people, and then the older people that watch my videos love to help out the young people, which is, by the way, I just want to say really quick, which is an amazing community we got going. It's great. We have young people that want to learn and older people that want to teach, and it all just comes together as one big thing. Without further ado, let's go right into it. And number 7 is space matters. People tell you all the time, especially parents, people tell you all the time that you should not get a small car with no space as your first car. And over time, I'm starting to realize they're right, man. I have, both my cars are very small. I have a 350Z and an Acura Integra. This is the Integra. And both these cars are small cars. Before these cars, I had a PT Cruiser, which is definitely not a big car, but it has a lot more space in it than both those other cars. And when I had that thing, life was a lot more easy. You could fit, like, for example, right now, literally what's going on right now with me is I need to get tires for my Integra. I already have the wheels, I need to get tires. Well, I'm in a bit of a pickle because I can go and pick up the tires. I have enough space to pick up 4 tires, that's fine. But when I get the tires, I will not have enough space to put all 4 tires and all 4 wheels in the car to bring them down to get mounted and balanced, which is now an issue. It's kind of always a little bit of a problem. On top of that, another thing with space is interior space, my bad. I'm the type of person that loves to drive. If I'm going somewhere with my friends, I'm driving. I don't trust other people to drive me around. It's nothing against other people, they're good drivers. I just have a little bit of anxiety when it comes to that. I don't like that. It makes me freak out. I like driving myself, and so I'd rather drive everybody else. On top of that, I don't like drink or do any partying, drugs, or anything like that. I love to go to parties, but I don't do any of the crazy stuff that other people do. And so I'm always relatively sober, and so I can always drive. And you can't trust other people to do that. You know, other people will say, oh yeah, I'll stay sober, but then you see them in the corner downing a 4 Loko, and you're like, what? How is that sober? I don't understand. And then they crash and you all die. It's just not a good idea. And so I like driving myself, but with cars like this or with my 350Z, I really can't do that. I can fit 1 person in here. We're all 20-year-old men, so nobody's fitting in the back of this car. And then my 350Z only has 2 seats. So that's another thing to take into consideration. Do you like driving people around? So definitely think about space. If you're the type of person that likes to be, you know, alone, and you're not too worried about the whole like transporting stuff issue, then yeah, you're fine. But definitely keep those things into consideration. The next thing is, stancing your car really does ruin its driving experience. This is kind of obvious, I know, but trust me guys, like some people watching this are gonna be like, how do people not know that? But when you're young, trust me, you don't think that this is gonna make a difference. It does. Now, I don't have either of my cars stanced, I would say. Both of them are lowered, but I wouldn't say either of them are stanced. However, I did notice both times with both cars, going from stock height to lowered automatically makes the driving experience on public roads a little bit more stressful, I would say. It's not horrible, it's not impossible, and for the most part you don't really notice it that much, but sometimes when you go over bumps and you hear that scraping noise, it does kind of remind you, oh yeah, this isn't meant to be driven on public roads. When you lower a car, stancing is even crazier. I mean, stancing, these cars are portions off the ground. Every little bump is gonna hurt. I mean, I love it. I love how it looks. I mean, I put my website as SmoothStance because I loved it back in the day. But I just don't, driving that really is a issue. On top of that, you can get the whole stance thing without literally slamming it on the ground. And I think it's like functional stance. I like that better anyway. I think it looks a whole lot better and it's a lot cooler. And even then though, even if you just like lower it to track spec or whatever, you're still gonna have a little bit of a worse experience than just driving it at stock height on public roads. Now, the reason why we do this, the reason why people lower their cars, and I'm not saying you shouldn't lower your car. I absolutely think almost every car out there should be lowered. I think they look all 10 times better. They all handle 10 times better. And that's exactly the reason why people lower their cars, is they want it to handle better. And stiffer suspension really does help a lot with handling. However, the downside to that is now driving on public roads, you have race car suspension on a street car, so you got to keep that into consideration. But anyway, the next thing I wish I knew when I was a young boy is driving a car, or I should say racing a car. Racing a car is not like gaming at all. I don't know what it is. People have gotten into their minds nowadays that if you play video games enough, play racing games enough, that you can become a good racer. And it definitely applies. I don't want to make it out to seem like playing sim racing games is not going to help your racing etiquette. That's not true. If you play sim racing games, it will help in the long run. It really will. But it's not the same, and you have to kind of realize that there are a lot of things that video games don't factor into the consideration. First of all is bumps. Bumps make a car react very differently. Every track has them. A lot of racing games don't put those exact bumps into their game. You're not going to be used to that. On top of that, every car handles differently. Yes, in Forza you can technically put the same modifications on your car that you're putting on in real life, but those mods don't actually feel that way in real life. They're not going to feel exactly the same way that they're feeling. On top of that, other opponents. AI in racing games is significantly easier than how people act in real life. Think about it this way. If you're a great racer and you know exactly the right racing line, and you know exactly how to overtake enemies, that's great. But guess what? Every single other person on the track with you is the exact same way now. It's not like you have easy AI to overtake. It also doesn't matter if you bump into people in racing games. In real life, that does matter. So yes, racing games help you, and they help you learn racing lines and help you learn when to brake and how cars react for the most part. But they are not, you should not be like, okay, I've played racing games for 5 years, I think it's time to hop into a sports car and immediately take it to my first racing event. No, you still need to practice, still get yourself acquainted under the seat, and you'll get a lot better that way. But anyway, next is number 4, and that is that the community online, the car community on the internet, is much more toxic than the car community in real life. It is horrible. Dude, the internet is filled with people that are gonna hate you, okay? So do not take everything you see on the internet 100% true. Now, there are some people out there, like I said in the beginning of this video, that do want to help, but it's very hard to tell. A lot of people online are just gonna insult you and roast you and call you an idiot. A lot of people online are also gonna let their biases get in the way. So if you ask, oh, is a Corvette a good car? If they're a Ford guy, they're gonna be like, no, they're horrible cars. But in reality, they are good cars. However, I've noticed over the years that in real life, people are much nicer and much more open and helpful, and they're just 10 times better. So please do not let the internet car community drag you away from the actual car community, because like I said, in real life, it's gonna be a whole lot better. You're gonna have a much better experience than if you're online. Sorry, I had to take a sip of my my agua there, okay, buddy? Next up, 3rd place, is that nobody cares how cool your car is. Nobody cares how cool your sick whip ride is, dude. Nobody except for other car guys. That's it. If you want to impress people, buying a cool car is not the way to do it, okay? Do something else. Get jacked or something. Be good at sports. Be a singer. Be an actor. I don't know. But buying a cool car is not the way to do it, okay? Okay. Now, this is something that we all thought when we first started liking cars, let's be honest, is that everybody likes cars and that every car out there is super cool and everybody's gonna love it. That's not the case, man. Women, most of the time, aren't gonna care about your car, bro. I'm sorry to break the news to you. Other, like, higher up people, like, you know, lawyers and people, like, let's say you're going to get a house or something, you go to the bank, your loan officer is not gonna care how cool your car is. The only people that care about how cool your car is other car guys, which is, in reality, that's enough anyway. I mean, having that, you know, extra bonus of another car guy at a red light, seeing you and waving to you, and both you guys just smiling from ear to ear, knowing that you guys both share the same passion, that's enough, to be honest with me. But yeah, I thought the same thing back when I was your guys' age. I thought, you know, I'm gonna get myself a 350Z, and all the girlies are gonna be lining up and showing me their belly buttons, and I'm gonna be all up in them belly buttons picking out the lint. It's not the case, man. You're not picking out any lint in any car. It doesn't really, unless you, I mean, obviously, yeah, there's a big difference. If you have a Lamborghini, yes, people are gonna like you just because you have the Lamborghini. But I mean more along the lines of realistic cars. You know, people aren't coming up to my Acura Integra and slapping their nipples on the hood of it. That's not happening. It may happen in a Lambo, but it's not gonna happen in this car. It's not gonna happen in most of the cars that we all are going to afford one day. So just keep that in mind. I mean, it doesn't really matter, and it really shouldn't affect your stance on the car community and all that. But if you are the type of person that's trying to do it for clout, well, I'm sorry to break the news for you, but this is not the community to do it in. Next up, and especially this is another reason why this is not the community to look for clout in, because the second thing that I wish I knew when I was a young boy is the price. Yeah, man, there's a lot of cheaper ways to get to look cool than buying a car. These things are expensive. On top of that, everything about them else is expensive. All the cars that people want nowadays are more expensive than normal cars. My 350Z back when I bought it was $5 grand, and it had problems. It was a salvage title for $5 grand. Nowadays, that same car, my salvage title 350Z, is probably gonna run $7,000 to $8,000, I would say. On top of that, all these other cars out there are they're just flying up in price, dude. Every car that's cool in the community is expensive. I mean, GSR Integras are over $5 grand now. This car, but with a slightly better motor, is over $5,000. It's crazy, the prices nowadays. On top of that, even after you do buy the car, prices to modify it are not cheap. A lot of people think, like, because in racing games, you pay a very small amount of money to paint your car. So a lot of people think, oh, that's how it's gonna be in real life. Nope, don't expect that. It is expensive to paint a car. It would cost me the same amount of money it cost me to buy this car to have somebody professionally paint it. Okay, I paid $3 grand for this Integra. It would cost me around that much to have a professional paint this car. Materials and all that stuff included. It would cost me around $3 grand. That's crazy. Prices in the car community are wild. And I'm still, to this day, I've been in the community, like seriously in the community, since I've been 18 and I'm 23 now. I'm 5 years into it. And I'm still learning about how expensive some things are. Like, for example, my O2 sensors for my 350Z are usually 80 bucks, which isn't that big a deal. I'm literally going to pick up an O2 sensor right now for this car, 120 bucks. Caught me off guard. I was slapped out of left field. I was like, where did that come from? Where's my 350Z prices? But apparently it's just not the same. It is crazy. Get used to prices being high. Do not expect to have your dream car at 18 years old, because it's not gonna happen, man. Cars are expensive. Your dream car is probably even more expensive, and parts for them and modifying them and everything about them is also very expensive. But the first thing that I wish I knew when I was getting into the car world, things I wish I knew about cars when I was younger, is that people do not respect your stuff. This just goes along the lines of life, you know? I mean, never once should you trust other people around you, no matter how close of a friend they are to you, to respect your stuff. And I'm not saying they're bad friends. They're not. They're good people. I guarantee that you're friends with them for a reason. They're fun to be around. But when it's not their stuff, they don't care. Now, at the end of the day, yes, most of your friends will still, like, defend you. And if you, let's say, like, you crash your car, they're gonna help you out, at least if you have good friends. I mean, my friends are like that. You know, if I crashed this car and I needed help with that, one of them, and if I needed, like, rides somewhere, they would absolutely help me out with that. But what I mean by respect your stuff is more along the lines of, like, let's say you do decide to get a car with enough space and you do start to drive your friends around. Do not expect them to keep that car clean. They won't do that. On top of that, if you're, let's say you want to work, if you need somebody to do something on your car for you, don't expect that mechanic to respect your stuff. He's not going to care. He's going to fix your car for the most part, hopefully, but he's not going to care about it. You know, it's not his vehicle. They do not care. On top of that, let's say you're buying a part. You're buying a part for your car. Don't expect the supplier of that part to send you the right part right away, because they don't care about your build as much as you do. Don't expect them to send it fast, because they don't care about it as much as you do. You have to remember, every man is out there for himself. All they care about is themselves. They will help you. I'm not saying that people are evil, because, like I said, friends for the most part are gonna help. But even friends will, you know, like I said, make a mess in your car because they don't care about it, man. It's the same thing with, like, I'm getting into real estate right now, right? Like, I'm trying to buy a multifamily house and rent it out to people. So I'm doing a lot of research on that stuff. And one of the things that people say a lot with real estate is, if you're gonna be a landlord, you gotta remember that people are not gonna respect your stuff there either. So they're gonna, you know, if you give them a stove, expect that stove to be broken after the year is up. You know what I mean? So it's just simple things like that. You know, don't trust people to take care of your stuff for you. It's not gonna happen. Always kind of be, you know, a little bit stressed when leaving your car with somebody else, or when having somebody else in your car, or when somebody else is working on your car, whatever it is. Always just kind of, you know, make sure that you can actually trust this person and and expect something a little bit to be dirty, at least, because it will happen. But anyway, guys, that is the end of today's video of the 7 things that I wish I knew before getting into cars. I hope you guys learned a few things. If you're young, if you're old, I say old, but I'm 23. If you're older, definitely leave some tips down below of other things that you wish you knew when you were younger for the young guys. I know you guys always do that. Like I said in the beginning of the video, the older people in my YouTube comments always try and help out the younger people, which is awesome. So I know you guys will already. You probably already have left some opinions down below that's going to help out some people. So thank you. But yeah, if you woo, baby, this car's clutch is so shot, dude. It needs like 5 new clutches. But anyway, yeah, if you guys enjoyed, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate all the support lately. We are running at 17 minutes. Oh, that's gonna hurt. Sorry, guys. But anyway, das vidanya. Have a nice night.